Hello, I am Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, and I am so happy to be here to answer questions because I know when you come to this way of eating, there is so much conflicting information, so many questions that you have, and it's not always easy to get an answer. It's not easy to get a straightforward answer. It's not easy to get an answer without a lot of different caveats based on your situation. So that's part of the problem. But I would like to be able to answer as many of the questions as you have as up to my ability from my experience. March will be 15 years for me for eating carnivore and this way of life. I've been an eye doctor for over 32 years and came upon this way of eating back doing an internet search. This was a long time ago, and this was not anywhere near the popularity or notoriety that it has now. So I am just so fortunate that I have at least my own personal experience to be able to convey on to hopefully you for getting a knowledge base, because this is not easy when your friends, your family, your coworkers, I call them naysayers, who are going to be quick to attack you. And I guess attack is a strong word, but to criticize or to question. And it puts us on the defense and it makes it difficult. And so the more you stay carnivore yourself, the more you learn, the more you develop your own experience, the more confident you will feel and the stronger you will be to have the ability to, first of all, not really care what anybody else thinks or says about the way you're eating, nor should they really care. Although there are, let's say, legitimate concerns by others because why? Because of all of the mainstream media, all the misinformation out there as to what we should be eating as far as high fiber, low fat, lots of whole grains, lots of plants, lots of vegetables, lots of fruit. And so we have to really understand that um, they're coming from a place of what they consider true concern. And we have to realize that they're not spending the amount of time, hours, days, weeks, months researching this, doing it for ourselves. And so we have to have a little bit of background information for ourselves to be able to appease and pacify some of these caring, loving people in our lives. So thank you for joining in. I am doing this live. And so I am going to, as best I can, go through the questions that I'll get here. I did put a question box out onto Instagram yesterday and got some great questions written in. So I will try to get to all of those. Also, any of you who are channel member supporters, I will definitely prioritize and make sure I try to get to your questions. And thank you all for joining in. I see some people in here from my current carb sober community groups. And hello, Tammy in Pennsylvania. So up here, let me just pull up over here. Joyce wrote, 80-year-old male, carnivore 1 month, has pterygiums. Will carnivore help or should he have surgery? Okay, so a pterygium is an ocular disorder. And I'm going to show you, I pulled up since I saw your question on there right before I was coming on live. A pterygium is this tissue that can grow across as part of the conjunctiva. And when it comes across, goes over this pupillary area, that's when it's really affecting the vision. A lot of times the pterygiums might might just come over part way and kind of just stop over here at the in front of the iris, and it's not affecting the vision. The problem with just doing surgery on a pterygium that's not yet impeding on the vision is that it can come back, and so it's typically not done unless it's visually necessary. So now, um, carnivore. So it's not necessarily a known thing as far as I don't have a whole bunch of people who had pterygiums and happened to be carnivore for other reasons and report to me that their pterygiums receded or did not progress. So I can't answer that, but I will say that a pterygium that is, like that picture that I showed you, the corneal specialist will be able to guide you on the risks versus benefits of having that. I can't answer in a particular situation, but that's really going to be the depending uh, question as far as having the surgery or not is how far progressed it is and what the vision effect is. Okay. I'm going to just keep going. Desiree says, I feel better and most of all, less anxious with the carnivore diet. I still get frightened about my cholesterol 226, LDL 142, HDL 74, triglycerides 58, and non HDL 152. So, what I say to these blood work fears and fret and concern is there's a few different things. One, you have to dive deep and of course, because I feel like we need to be our own medical advocates, because you're going to get the typical go on a statin. Oh my, you need to understand that you can take those numbers, put it into certain ratios, and see what. So Philip Avadia, the cardiologist who eats this way, and let's see, Brett Scher, Nadir Ali. I've gotten a lot of information from all of these heart specialists, and I came up with a list of ratios to put your own blood work in and see if it fits in their guidelines. So if you divide this by this and it's less than 4.44, and you divide this by this and there's quite a few of them, and all of your parameters come out a-okay, then we're not so concerned about a specific LDL. Now, if you listen to Dr. Anthony J, who's a brilliant guy and did, I think I don't know whether it was his PhD. He's done a lot of graduate work, and one thing was cholesterol. And he has a graph up where if your LDL is between 180 and 280, let me just think if I got to make sure I get the numbers right. You have the lowest death rate, or maybe is that total cholesterol? I'm gonna have to look that up. It is so important that you understand because there's all these numbers that are floating around. That's really the problem with trying to look at your blood work and either say I'm like having a hard time with it or not. You have to understand like triglycerides, you want under 75. Your triglyceride is under 75. HDL, you'd like it over 75. You're really right close there. So I would recommend really thinking about how, number one, why are we so concerned about these numbers? Are we thinking that let's say all these other different things are getting better? We're less anxious, we're feeling good, our skin's good, our less joint aches, our blood sugar's good. And then you get the lipid panel and everybody's like, oh my gosh. Well, what makes you think that your body is going to heal all these other organ systems and all these other things, but it's going to go, haha, I'm going to get your heart? It doesn't work like that. Our bodies, once you remove all the toxic foods, the sugar, the grains, the seed oils, processed foods, right? Get them out of your life. We're eating nutrient dense, healthy food. Our bodies are here to evolve and heal and be healthy. So the I know there's other doctors out here in this carnivore sector that like Dr. Kilt, he says, why are you testing your blood? Why are we testing this? Most of the time, people are testing it because they have concerned family members, or you yourself are so used to being tied to these numbers, and you have to have this and you have to have that, and this is too high. And oh gosh, all of these different things that we worry about, and we shouldn't. Because if you're trusting that you are eating this nutrient dense way, then we have to just be confident that our bodies are not going to mess with Mother Nature, right? I'm still trying to pull up. I'm going to see if I can get those ratios. Um, so let me see what the next question is. Type this out. Okay. Oh, wait, I'm gonna pull up the ones that I got from the Instagram too. Does a carnivore diet help slow down Fuchs dystrophy progression? Okay, again, this is one of those questions where I would have had to have had a patient with Fuchs, which is a very typically fairly mild, not so progressive kind of dystrophy of the cornea, that where I was showing you that picture before, that is cornea is basically that clear window that's over your pupil and your iris. I would have to answer that question. I would have had to have a patient with that little sign that I saw in their eye that you've got Fuchs, and then told them, hey, guess what? Let's just experiment and see if we can slow the progression or reverse that. And this is what I want you to eat. And this is what I don't want you to eat. They think I've got two heads. And so that little science experiment really can't happen. The way these things happen, and I'm fortunate I get a lot of people reporting to me as far as what they have had improve as far as their vision and ocular system, based on the fact that they came to carnivore because of severe arthritis or reversing their diabetes or bad skin issues or bad GI and Crohn's issues and all that, right? So they came to this for their own other reason, but some people have said, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. How awesome. My dry eye is so much better. I cannot believe this. I've had people who have had their eyeglass prescriptions lessen over time with each successive visit. And again, I don't have a person who's, let's say, nearsighted in my office and say, hey, why don't you try this really cool, crazy carnivore diet and let's see what happens to your prescription. I mean, we have to all admit this is not a norm. This is not a run of the mill thing where we can just easily tell somebody, hey, why don't you just jump in and do it? Let's see you back in 6 months and let me see what happens. So that's why it becomes really difficult. I'd love to answer everybody's questions regarding, hey, will carnivore do this for my eyes or do that for my eyes? I do have an entire video that I did. I'm guessing it was about last year. And it was regarding all of the different people who have written to me or who I've coached or are in my groups, and we talk. I compiled all of the different eye issues that have either halted, reversed, or totally gone away. Okay. So it looks like Lanny has 73 and about 23 pounds lost. I've coached people in their 80s coming to this for the first time, and it's never too late Just remember that because remarkable changes in an 85-year-old. Okay, Bev, I'm glad to see that hopefully I've encouraged a little more walking activity. The walking pad that I use, I'll put a link in the video notes here. It is just I do a lot of research before I purchase things, but for how inexpensive this is, and it's literally just kind of like a conveyor belt on the floor, and you can slide it under the bed or under the couch. It's not like a big treadmill thing that you end up hanging clothes on. And yeah, it varies in price because it goes on sale and all sorts of things, but it's under $200. And I've had it for, I guess, I'm going to say almost 2 years now. No problems. Pull it right out of the box and plug it in. And it's pretty spot on spectacular to get you to see it, get on it, and just do some extra steps where you normally wouldn't have. Because I know everybody's like, well, why don't you just walk outside? Well, I do, but there's times where it's nice to, especially in inclement weather or really cold weather like I have out there, to be able to just jump on that. Um, let's just see. I'm going to keep pulling things. 97% other have poisoned their own blood who care about these. Uh, thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, hit the like button. Not sure exactly what that does, but I'm sure it potentially does something great. So thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, let's read. T.H. Harris, I've developed a meat aversion. Should I just fast until I get hungry? Just thinking about meat makes me nauseous. Yes, if you are hungry enough, it's anything's gonna any meat, seafood, or egg should at some point become enticing. And if the meat aversion is, let's say, to ground beef and steak, then just switch off and do seafood, chicken and pork and lamb for a while, or just have eggs and bacon for a while. Just, it's highly unlikely and very unusual that any sort of meat aversion would last. And sometimes it's our own little addictive brain that's like, yeah, this isn't going to work for me. I'm, I'm having a meat aversion. I better head back to my pizza. The mind works in some very mysterious ways. All right, I'm going to just keep trying to go through these, and then I'm going to pull up my Instagram questions too. Little Ford Schoolhouses. This afternoon, the sugar cravings were so intense, I almost gave in. So proud to say you didn't. Yeah, the intensity of cravings can at times, depending on, a lot of times it has to do with triggers, visual triggers, aroma triggers, auditory triggers, like even somebody crinkling a package of cookies in the office where you work, and or hearing somebody talk out there that they're coming back from the vending machine and they got some M&Ms or whatever it is. There's so many triggers, and we have to really have our shield up, get our sword out, and just battle, because it's really hard because all our lives we were pretty much comforted by food or rewarded with food or celebrated with food, and we have a relationship with food. And how many times, I know when I was a kid, you eat your dinner, you get dessert, right? You finish your vegetables, you get dessert. So there's the reward. And also, for a lot of different reasons, when you're a kid, you might get food as a reward. Oh, you were so good at the doctor, here's a lollipop. Or you were so good, let's go get ice cream. And that becomes a very ingrained type thing. And the sugar withdrawals that happen once you do give them up are linger fairly long. And so you have to expect that that's going to happen. And hopefully you can keep fending them off to the point where you get really to the, I say the memory of what something tasted like is still there, but the physical chemical craving and that withdrawal goes away. Oh, hi, Betty, from one OD to another. Thanks for your honesty. Yeah, well, thank you, Betty. I don't know how else to lay out my experience other than, and I know I I know there's many out here that will talk about certain things and be um, pretty adamant about what you need to do. And and again, this is it's hard to, I don't want to say anybody out there is, so you say my honesty as if somebody else might be lying. Other people are maybe selling electrolytes or organ supplements. And oh gosh, if I truly honestly felt that taking them was necessary, or that I really tried them and felt a benefit, or if there was anything like that, I would I would say it. I just keep giving my perspective of my experience, which is I don't like organs. They're rather offensive to me to think I don't want to cook and eat liver. Yes, it's nutrient dense. I understand that there's a value to it, but I can't figure if it is that offensive to me. How on earth would I actually need that? Like, how would that be something my body really has to have if it's something that I would not, unless I was starving, go to choose to eat? So, um, the desiccated organs and all that. And the interesting thing is people turn to these supplements and they ask me, should I take this? Which is the best company? All that. And I said, and they're like, which ones? And this one's got this in it, and this one's just liver, and this one's got all these other things in it. What would you do, or what should I take? And I sense the tension of the fear that you're not doing it right. And I want to take that away from you. There's really no right or wrong here. But I'm going to say, think to yourself how interesting that when you were eating pizza, cookies, ice cream, donuts, cake, pasta, pizza, all this stuff, right? You weren't concerned about which brand of desiccated organs was optimal, or how much you should take, or should you take them. So it's so interesting that here you are getting rid of all that toxic, processed, standard, atrocious diet food, eating this nutrient dense meat, seafood, eggs, and now we're really fretting about something like organs. Really interesting, right? Like, why at this point would you? So, and then, I'll talk about electrolytes because it always comes up, but there was no electrolyte companies making all these flavored stevia sweetened electrolytes back when I started. Thank goodness, because who knows, maybe I would have gotten a little hooked on them. I don't know. Nobody was telling us, oh, you got to take your electrolytes or you're going to get keto flu, or you got to take electrolytes or your legs are going to cramp. Guess what? Man was not crippled out there, doubled over with leg cramps and not sleeping through the night because they were getting leg cramps. Your leg cramps will go away. Your body will adjust. Might take some time, but don't think for a minute that you having to take that processed product is what is going to ultimately keep your leg from cramping. And then what? Are you gonna take it the rest of your life because now you think you have to take it to make sure your leg doesn't cramp? Let your body do what your body needs to do. Our bodies are such fine-tuned machines. They they work within such a small parameter of levels, and it knows how to regulate. And when you put extra of something in, it has to take that into consideration and start compensating in another way inside based on what you are exogenously bringing in. So I don't know. I hope that at least, not that I'm trying to convince anybody to stop your electrolytes or your organ supplements. Have at it. If it's working well for you, I am more than happy to say, you know what? Keep doing it. If you're heading toward getting off all your medication, getting to a lean body weight, getting rid of all your diagnosis, and you feel great, you sleep great, you're lifting weights, you're on an awesome path. And don't overthink anything. Just deep breath and just keep going day by day. Yes, pay attention, learn. I always keep an open mind. I always try to figure out what might be next for me. And gosh, you know what I see out there? Oh my gosh, all that cold plunging. And I'm like, oh, dang, dang. It's not for Lisa. She's not really thinking she wants to do that. But I never say never. And who knows? I do have some of my group members who cold plunge and swear by it. The mental change that it does each day when they get out of this, they're chipping ice away and getting in the dang thing. I don't know. I've got a cold plunge right in my front yard. It's called the Atlantic Ocean. That's probably about, I don't know what the temperature is now. Probably, I don't know, in the 50s as a guess, total guess. I don't know. But look at that. I have a free cold plunge. And I don't know. Go ahead and write in the comments if any of you have tried it. I'm thinking I can't possibly buy one of those. I mean, I know there's some very reasonable ones now and everything. I'm thinking, there's no way I'm getting in that thing. How a waste of money that would be. But again, I could be wrong. Could be totally wrong. Okay. Sometimes I look into the chat, and then I think I'm coming in halfway through a conversation trying to answer. Oh, okay. Yeah. So working really hard to make sure there's nothing readily available for a binge to happen, or make sure what is readily available is something like a pound of cooked bacon in your refrigerator, or make the bacon knots. I have a YouTube video of bacon knots and twisty bacon, and they're so good. And an entire pound of bacon is better than a single bite of cookie. That's one of the things I always try to get you to think about, that it's okay if you're feeling that anxiety or stress or emotional event that is causing you to feel like you want to dig in to where we used to dig in to some nice melted cheese, or gosh, cream cheese smeared on bacon. So good. And just deal with the fact that you're going to, let's say, overeat a little. I don't even want to use the term binge. Let's say you're going to indulge on some carnivore uh, treat, cream cheese on bacon, and have at it. And you'll get to the point where you're like, oof, okay. Between the salt, which is a real good pungent reversal of a sweet craving, and the creaminess of the cream cheese and the fat you're getting from all that, I think that you'll be pretty satiated pretty quickly and be able to just walk away and be over that sugar craving. All right. Let's go on to Debbie. I had numerous TIAs. That is, for those who don't know, transient ischemic attacks, which is the term for, you could just call it a mild stroke. So numerous TIAs after COVID, blood clot to right eye, retinal vein occlusion, Eylea injections for over a year. Only thing that got rid of swelling was nattokinase. Well, Carnivore helped. So again, I'm just going to default back to my standard verbiage, is that our bodies are going to attempt to try to heal everything. You get a cut, you bleed, you scab, it heals, it's off. Huh, not even there anymore, right? You get a virus, your body intentionally spikes a fever to heat your body up so that it is inhabitable for the virus to survive in that much heat and heals. So everything, every process, assuming we get rid of all of the inflammatory, toxic, poisonous agents that we're putting in our body. And if you want to say, well, I want to do everything possible to give my body that opportunity, you know what you're going to give up also, aside from carbs and sugar and bread and pasta and rice? You're going to give up coffee and caffeine because that's a pesticide. Your body has to treat it as such. It puts your body in fight, flight, or fight status, and it is not good for your microbiome. It is not good to put that stressor in your body every day. It's an addiction. And I won't even get into that. I am going to do a whole coffee caffeine. It's going to be a very unpopular video, I know, but I at least want the knowledge to be out there. Like 80% of the population is drugged up and drugged out on caffeine. Everybody's walking with their little vessel, right? Standing in line. And so that's one thing. Alcohol, it's a poison, it's a toxin, it's a carcinogen. So if you are thinking that that's okay, and you say, well, I only have whatever, then you hopefully you're at the point in your life where you have everything else is tip top great, and you're not um, worried about stressing your system a little bit here or there. So that's another thing. But all of these things, I know none of them are popular. I tell people even to get off gum, get off Diet Coke. People are like, don't take that away. I know it's not easy. I said the rules are simple, execution is not easy. So let's see. Alicia says drinking apple cider vinegar in the morning is to help with indigestion. Yeah, it's for a number of different things. It can also for glucose. Can it be overdone? Yes, everything can be overdone for sure. So, maybe a tablespoon each day is not overdoing it. Couple times a day, fine. Do it prior to a meal is most effective for helping with your glucose. Again, if you're feeling better and what you're doing is working, don't overthink it. Let's pull over. Bev says, my sister says I'm doing two bad things. First, carnivore. Second, I use Lumify eye drops 1 or 2 times a week. She said it's bleach. I know I'm great for carnivore, but the drops, Lisa, am I safe using them? So Lumify is, let's say, a fairly safe drop to use. I want to say medication. I mean, it's a over-the-counter eye whitening drop. It is not. It's much better than Visine. Any drop that says gets the red out, those drops are vasoconstrictors, and that's how it works to make your eyes appear less red. So these blood vessels that are running on the sclera, on the white part of your eye, when you put in a gets the red out type drop like Visine or many other brands, it is actually acting upon the blood vessels topically to constrict them. But guess what? You keep using that because it's like, ooh, I want my eyes white. Next day, ooh, got to put the drops in over and over and over. Eventually, they have a rebound effect where the blood vessel will actually dilate. And then your eyes still red, getting redder, and you're putting more in. Not a good thing to do. Lumify does not fall in that same category. So if you're just using it once or twice a week, I'd say okay for now. And you want to know why I say okay for now is because We want to get to the root cause of why your eye is red and why you feel the need to put the whitening drop in. Is your eye dry? What's going on that your eyes are red? Do you have a low grade autoimmune issue, inflammatory issue going on? What is going on? What is the root cause? Because it's not natural for your eyes, for somebody to look at you and go, wow, your eyes are red. We got to find out why. All about root cause healing. And again, I'm all about, hey, you can use that temporarily while you stick to carnivore, and hopefully lots of improvements will happen and that will um, improve on its own. All right. So this was, I guess, regarding the blood work we were talking about earlier. You test your blood because you're just simply curious, kind of becoming a nerd about it. Yeah. So that's one thing, unless you, again, get to that point where we chase numbers or we're overly like freaked out about a number and then thinking we got to do three different things to try to fix that. And, I'll tell you on my blood work, I did test it a bit at the beginning because way back then I was like, I don't know anybody doing this. I don't know if this is really healthy. But boy, do I feel good, but let's get the blood work done. So my BUN was always just a touch high out of the normal level. And I was just like, oh, well, I don't know. Everything's going great. I feel good. Kept going. Everything's fine. And then I just didn't test anymore. And then now I even hear Dr. Baker. I was on last night on Dr. Kiltz's Mighty Tribe with Dr. Baker and myself. And he mentioned his BUN's slightly elevated. And my thought on it is, what do we know exactly what the exact proper parameter that these, let's say, LabCorp Quest are saying, okay, this is the upper limit of normal, right? Well, is it the upper limit of normal of an ancestral person eating fatty meat and seafood and eggs? Or I don't know. So I never am overly uh, obsessed about any one of the parameters that might be just a little out of sync. And again, the whole lipid thing, you have to remember too, if you're somebody who is dropping weight, your lipid numbers are going to be skew, haywire for a little while. So why, if everything's going good and you're eating, you're satiated, your weight's dropping, your glucose and insulin sensitivity is getting better, why are we worried about lipid? Actually, there's not a single study that says lower LDL is a lower death rate. It's actually the opposite. So every cell in our body needs cholesterol. Our bodies make cholesterol every day. If you eat high cholesterol foods, like let's say shrimp and eggs, your body's going to make less. And if you're eating foods that don't have cholesterol, your body has to make more. I mean, this, like I said, this fine-tuned machine, think about it. Remove the toxic foods like we are doing, right? And your body knows what to do. Now we just have to be patient depending on how many decades we treated our bodies like a trash can. I'm going to go, before I keep going here, I want to hit some of the questions that some have written in from the Instagram. Okay, so one question was asked of me, what do I eat the most? So for sure, beef. And I'm going to say a combination of beef, ground beef, steaks, and eggs is the majority of what I eat. If you follow me or you're in my groups and we have a whole section on doing a sardine challenge because it works so remarkably well for getting in touch with your own hunger signals, having remarkable changes in your glucose and ketone numbers and weight loss. And we have challenges that we do in there, and it's really, really interesting. So, as grossed out as I have always, I've never had sardine my entire life, and I you can watch some of my sardine challenge videos. It's like, ugh, but I'm getting better about them. And the beautiful thing is they're the perfect food because they're so nutritious. They've got great macros to them. And why it's really good for me in particular, or somebody like me who has that sort of like, it's because I don't overeat them. I don't binge on them. I eat just enough of them to get rid of that intense hunger pang, and then off I go with the rest of my day. So it's a really interesting challenge to do. Okay, let me keep going on. So that's pretty much. Oh, and so I'm going to go over to this next question that somebody else had. Flying Bacon asked, "Have you cut out dairy completely?" Haven't quite had a full-on funeral for my friend there, but very, very close to it as far as how I allow it in my life, because such an issue for me. I've come from such a long background of disordered eating and binging, and it's just been such a long road. I struggled with my weight my whole life. My parents are obese, my brother obese. It's just been a struggle. And coming into carnivore, I would not have been able to transition. I just know it without having cheese. And I was able to eat it and not have any issues with it. And I mean, I don't have any physical reaction as far as inflammation, skin issues, postnasal drip that some people get. Well, I gotta say, I really do wish I did have a reaction. So it'd be so much easier just to like say, okay, I can't have it. But yeah, I used it as a definitely as a tool and a bridge, and I have it in recipes, and yeah, I use it a lot. I still have it occasionally. If I'm at a restaurant, I will have a bacon cheeseburger, or I love blue cheese on a steak, or they do a crusted blue cheese butter, and or I'll do a charcuterie board with the aged parmesan. But it's portion control when it's out at a restaurant. I have a hard time with cheese. It calls my name. It becomes my new um that food that is so annoying, when you have a pint of Ben and Jerry's in there and you just keep picking at it until it's gone. You just, oh, I might as well just finish it, and so I don't have to think about it tomorrow. Well, I get that. Ended up getting that way with cheese. The casomorphines is a definite thing. There's an addictive component to cheese. I do also think, from more and more research into it, that it does have a not good place for people who have any sort of autoimmune issues. You should definitely try an elimination diet with no dairy in it if you have any autoimmune issues. There are some pieces of science out there that it increases your risk of breast cancer and prostate cancer. I don't know. I didn't really go further down to keep researching into those type of claims, but overall, totally not a necessary component of a diet. Some will say, oh, but then where are you getting your calcium? You got to drink milk. If you can get raw milk, I really do feel there's a great health value to raw milk, although I think I would, if I had access to it and bought it, would probably over drink it. And that's where I have so many people who are hooked on the heavy whipping cream in their coffee. And then it becomes a very difficult thing. It's like people are having their coffee to get their heavy whipping cream fix. And so we have to really think about that, why we are using something. Is it for hunger and satiation of hunger? No, heavy whipping cream in the coffee isn't, and we shouldn't be using it as a meal. Should never get up in the morning and just have a cup of coffee. Should always have food when you get hungry, have food, and then have coffee with it if you are going to continue to drink coffee. But it should never be a substitute for a meal. Uh, let's look at. All right, Amber says, I've had a droopy eye since high school because of a car accident. I'm a carnivore and I no longer have that droopy eye. Wow. Don't even know how that was possible. Yeah, don't complain about that one. Yeah, that's interesting. The original droopy eye is typically from nerve damage. There's a levator muscle up in the eyelid, and maybe there was, some remarkable healing and anti-inflammatory issue that through your carnivore eating that somehow helped that out. That's pretty amazing. If that car accident was like since high school, that's pretty neat. Oh yeah, so getting back to the dairy, have I totally cut it out? So yeah, it's in my yellow circle. I have a YouTube video where I talk about the green circle, the yellow, and the red. It's really a good way of thinking things out. Dairy, cheeses, and heavy cream is not in my green circle. Green means go. Sardines, ground beef, steak, eggs. I don't binge on any of those. Yellow, pork rinds, bacon. Bacon's a toughie. This one here, she knows how to overeat bacon because um, we have a problem with certain foods that we really love and the saltiness of them. And there's some we talk in my groups a bit about a salt addiction, and that there's many who do not use spices or salt at all. Some long-term carnivores like Charles Washington, Dana Spencer. I think Bella actually is gone. I think she doesn't use salt at all. I know she didn't when she was here. And Owsley the Bear Stanley, like a 40-year carnivore, he has writings, and I have that over in my membership group, the whole PDF, and it's available. You can find that too. But he said, nope, nope on the salt. He did not feel that that was something that we should be using. And when you think about it, would we have naturally just on Earth out there come across a salt lick and sat by it, and then what? And that salt will tend to cause us to overeat, eat past the point of satiety. So I am going to do a totally 100% salt-free experiment, because I know for myself, if I just even something as simple as ground beef, if I have made 2 pounds of it because I want extra for leftovers and easy meals, and it's salted, and I eat, and then I might eat a little more, and then as I'm packing it up, I might pick it a little more. If there was not a speck of salt on any of that, would I have A, eaten as much initially, B, picked at it and eaten a little more? It's going to be a very interesting experiment. I have some in my groups. I have separate little challenges that you can enter into, and some are finding some remarkable insights from that. So it's very interesting, but stay tuned for that. Not doing it yet. I'm actually going on my winter beach retreat. I'm hosting every winter a getaway to come vacation with me and live my carnivore lifestyle out on a trip. And so I have that coming up Saturday. I fly to Cabo San Lucas. I've never been there, so this should be really fun. And then my summer beach retreats, 2024 is the start of my summer beach retreats. And no, you will not be here as an attendee of my retreat having to abstain from all these different things. There will not be alcohol served. So yes, you will abstain from that unless you're going to go out and get that. But there is going to be a whole coffee bar, and there will be cheese and dairy and included in the meals if everybody's on board with that, because these are going to be very small, intimate retreats where I know exactly where everybody's at. And if everybody's going no dairy for the retreat, we're going no dairy. Or whatever the situation is. So it's going to be pretty exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. So um, let's see. Let's look here. Cookie Carter. Hi, first time live with you. My ophthalmologist put me on dorzolamide 2% and sight gets worse. I'm trying to come off carbs. What's your suggestion? I pressure my eyes 18 to 22. Okay, so of course, I can't give any medical advice, and I can't certainly give any advice not having seen you or your eyes or know your past history. But I will just say that um, number one, you really need to keep talking this out with your eye doctor about because it says your sight's getting worse and um, there's different options, different procedures that can be done. There's laser. And as far as from my end of it, I'll just say from my carnivore end of it, I will tell you that for sure, if you go and watch the video I have with carnivore and vision and eye health, that there are some who had been a glaucoma suspect with pressures about kind of like right where yours is at now, like 21, 22, 23, 20 is where, depending on other signs that we might keep an eye out and do other testing and label you as a glaucoma suspect. And there were people who, after turning carnivore and going for their successive every 6-month visit, the doctor said, yeah, your pressure's down and I'm taking you off the suspect list for that. So for sure, I'm going to say we have potential here that there's definitely something very real about the power of eating this way. All right, let me go back into my Instagram questions over here. Um, why do I get restless legs at night when I go strict carnivore? It's adaptation, it's withdrawals, it's your body adjusting, and you have to just keep going. Get yourself through that whole period of time where you get through where your body is saying, oh, okay, this is what we're getting now. And that other stuff isn't coming down, and let's adjust. And I say you're not people are not going to be out there cramping up and living that misery long term. It's going to go away. I mean, we did talk about it 15 years ago back when I was starting um, carnivore, but we did not have any, it was like the questions were, oh, maybe you're not hydrated enough. Well, you know what? It could also be from overhydrating, and it could be from too much magnesium or too much potassium. Or so you have to consider these things too. It's not like I need more, more, more. I'm cramping. I need, again, I know this is so difficult because there's lots of conflicting information, and part of it just has to be take a deep breath and say, you know what? I just got to keep going. I got to be patient. And, assuming you've gotten rid of all of the potential toxins and problems, that is a issue where your body has to compensate, like the caffeine, the alcohol, the artificial sweeteners, out the door. I know. Nobody likes to hear me say that. Nobody wants to do it. Sometimes we got to do the hard things. Suck it up, buttercup. uh yeah, so Debbie says, yep, some eat raw liver. Lovely. Good on them. I did actually try it raw just because, yeah, that's what you got to try to do just to experience it. And maybe somebody said, oh, it's so much better raw. You don't like it because you're cooking it. That wasn't the case either. I proved that. um, okay, let's look at, so Jenny Francis wrote, are you still eating higher fat? In general, I always try to pay attention and keep about 70-30. Sometimes it might go 65-35. Um, there were times where I was really trying to push it to make a um, effort to see what staying 80-20 or even trying 90-10 would do. I have a problem in that I like to eat volume. I don't want to eat like this little tiny piece of meat and a lot of fat. So therein lies my issue with trying to stay really higher fat. But sometimes I don't pay attention to it so much because I eat a lot of repetitive things. So I don't have to pay attention. And um, that's what I call that RMM, the repetitive meal method. That I think ancestrally there was a lot of repetitive meal method going on out there. It's, you're eating the same thing. And some people say, oh, I get so tired of that. How do you do that? It's like, no, it's fine. You get hungry enough and it just tastes delicious again. It really does. And um, it just seems to work really well because I don't have to keep tracking so diligently if I just keep eating the same thing because I already know because I already tracked it 3 days ago. So, um, aw, you are so welcome, Sherry. I enjoy trying to make this a sustainable lifestyle for people and actually part of most of the recipes are my way of helping and hoping that it gets people acclimated to eating this way at the beginning. And because it's so hard, especially if you're cooking for a family and you're so used to variety and all those things. And so I think that um, what happens if once you get in 3 years, 4 years, you just kind of have your little thing that works well. And I don't have to make recipes anymore because it becomes so non important, the variety. And it makes it so much easier for me if the variety is not what is then enticing me to eat more. Oh, I've got this and this and this. And it just helps to be really, really simple. And I know it goes against what we think. Oh, it's just too boring. I got to have all these different things. And I get it. And go with it. Go with how you feel. But just remember that eventually you might want to really, really simplify things. All right. I know I'm already at the end of the hour and I wish I could have gone through everything because I see there's a lot here. Oh my gosh. Um, so let me know in the notes because, I really do go in and read comments to the videos and I try to respond to them all. I try. And I want to know, do you like this type of format? Is it good when I just throw this in once in a while to do a Q&A? I still want to do a lot of my informational videos, but I think that this type of video is really important. But it would be so much better if I could answer all of your questions. And I could probably be here for 3 hours and just keep talking. But just know that in my membership group, I love getting to know you. I keep it small enough that I am able to talk with you every single meeting. And in the month of January, I go live every single day. And it's just really powerful, the community and the people and getting to know you, getting to know me, and them getting to know each other and talking about struggles, talking about successes, talking about the separate little challenges that we have going on the side. Today just so happened today's meeting, and a lot of times I don't have a specific agenda when I come on to the group meeting, but this one today turned into a really, really great alcohol discussion, and how even just sometimes allowing yourself one is a pretty quick slide down the slippery slope into the ditch, and how intertwined alcohol and caffeine and all that is. Oh, hi. I hope for all. Thank you for becoming a member. So here on YouTube, there's, I think it's like, I don't remember. I think it's like $4 a month. And what that allows me to do is it tags you. I think I put bacon. And then if you're on a second month, you get like, I don't know, steak, burger, goes up to lobster, I think. I don't know. But it's a way for me to be able to communicate separately in there. I did offer all of the channel members here a free 1 month um, initial membership into my group, so you could see what it's like and see if you liked it. And if anybody watching now, if you're interested and curious, let's say you're just group curious, but you haven't been in a group before, um, message me and I will just put a message in the notes, and I will produce a link that will get anybody who's interested. It'll be a 1 week. So you can come in and see what it's like, come in and see how it works, a 1 week free, and then you can just cancel out after that if you're saying, nope, not for me. But I think it'd be really great for some to be able to just at least see what it's like. And I would get to know you, get to talk with you, get to answer all your questions. And that's what this is all about, is community, because this connection is the opposite of addiction. And if you know where I come from, it is from a very, very deep, dark black hole of misery, trying to be able to get myself to stop secretive eating. It was humiliating. It was debilitating to live my life like that. And I always said, if I can help one person out of that, I will be so happy. And I know from all of my years now of doing this, I'm so grateful to have helped so many. And I would love to help more. And come over and I will see you there. Just send me a message and I'll get you that free week link if you're interested. All right. Have a great night. Get good sleep, everybody. And don't forget to lift weights and eat steaks. Stay carb sober.